For every one of the 7 deadly sins lurking in regular show, there are 7 heavenly virtues waiting to balance them out. And today we're going to compare them all, starting with greed versus generosity. Greed, Dawn. Greed. Who better for greed than someone who literally deals with money? Enter Dawn, Rigby's younger brother with the accounting skills and the big heart. Wait, big heart? Isn't this supposed to be greed? Bear with me. Regular show likes to flip the script. In the episode Dawn, the park faces an audit crisis because Pops, bless his sweet soul, tried to pay the park's taxes in lollipops instead of cash.
We already went over this, Pops. You pay taxes with money, not lollipops. Oh!
Yes, you heard that right. Pops thought candy could pay bills. If that's not a sugar-coated financial strategy, I don't know what is. The government threatens to take everything, and who's called in to save the day? Dawn, the money guru raccoon. Now, Dawn is nothing like Rigby. He's taller, super nice, and when he shows up, he immediately starts showering everyone with love and hugs. His signature move is literally called "Give me some sugar," a big ol' hug-handshake combo so sweet it could give you cavities. Not your typical greedy tycoon, huh?
I'm Benson.
Benson, give me some sugar. Nice to meet you.
But Dawn's all about numbers and success, which sparks Rigby's envy. We'll get to that sin later. Rigby thinks Dawn steals the spotlight, and maybe by extension his share of love and attention. A kind of greed for affection, if you will. Dawn inadvertently steals the show at Rigby's own birthday when they were kids, hogging all the friends. And in the present, he's about to steal Rigby's thunder again by solving the audit with his mad accounting skills.
It wasn't just a birthday party. It's everything. I'm always in your shadow. You're so much better than me.
As the park literally starts disappearing because the audit wasn't finished, we see the flip side of Dawn's greed. Sure, he's associated with money and inadvertently hogging love, but when push comes to shove, Dawn isn't truly selfish. In fact, Rigby is the one acting greedy, refusing to share glory or admit he needs help. Dawn, meanwhile, comes back when Rigby apologizes, and together they finish the audit by, get this, the power of brotherly love and a magical hug. The park is restored and Dawn leaves, which brings us to our first heavenly virtue. Generosity skips. Opposing greed is generosity, and if there's one park worker who embodies selflessness, it's Skips. This dude literally carries the team through supernatural shenanigans every other episode. When everyone else is losing their heads, sometimes literally, Skips is the guy who generously swoops in with ancient knowledge, raw strength, or a sacrifice to save the day. Remember the episode Free Cake? Mordecai and Rigby try to get Skips a birthday present and end up summoning death. Skips has to bail them out by arm wrestling death himself. He wins, more on that later. And rather than scold his friends, he's just grateful for the birthday surprise.
So you ended up cheating death, huh?
I learned from the best.
Oh!
Generous with gratitude even. Or think of Skip Strikes, where Skips joins a risky bowling tournament to help his friends win back the park, putting himself on the line. Time and again, Skips gives his all to protect his buddies. He doesn't do it for reward or applause. Heck, he often downplays his role. He does it because it's the right thing.
My friend's souls are more important than my secret. You want to tell him my real name isn't Skips? Go ahead.
But perhaps the most heartfelt example comes from Skips's backstory in Skip's story. We learn he lost the love of his life long ago and gained immortality from the guardians of eternal youth. Ever since, he's devoted his endless life to helping others. That's heavy stuff for a goofy cartoon, but it shows Skips's generosity isn't just in actions, it's in spirit. He literally gives up a normal life and eternal rest to be there whenever the world needs him. Talk about sacrifice.
But Skips, we don't know what we're doing.
All right, I'll be right there.
And it's not just the big moments. On a day-to-day level, Skips is always picking up the slack for our favorite slackers. Mordecai and Rigby trash the house with some crazy scheme. Skips is fixing the hole in the wall. Benson's at his wit's end. Skips tells him to take a break and generously shoulders responsibility. But while Dawn's accidental spotlight stealing sparked Rigby's inner green monster, there's another kind of craving that isn't about money, it's about sugar. And way too much of it. But trust me, we're just getting started. The rest of these sins hit even harder. Stick around, leave a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the next sins and virtues. You're gonna want to see who shows up next. Gluttony, Pops. When you think of gluttony, you think of overindulgence. And who in regular show is more indulgent and sweet than Pops Millard? Pops is literally a walking lollipop. No, seriously. A round lollipop head, stick body, the whole deal. And he acts like one too. Super innocent, childlike, and endlessly obsessed with candy. Pops' gluttony isn't the scary, devour-everything kind. It's the adorable kind that usually ends in a sugar coma or a reality-bending sugar rush. Case in point, in Sugar Rush, the gang tries to cure Pops' sudden hyperactive candy binge by giving him more sugar. Smooth move Skips. The result? Pops zooms around like a maniac until they realize they need to give him the opposite of sugar to calm him down. This man's blood type might as well be maple syrup.
Uh-oh.
But to Pops' credit, he doesn't just love eating candy, he loves sharing it too. Ironically generous in his gluttony. He offers butterscotch ripple or peppermints to anyone who seems down. But behind that generosity is a selfish little craving. Pops always has candy on hand because he needs it around. He's like that grandma who gives you sweets, but mainly because she bought a lifetime supply for herself. So yes, Pops is our gluttony. He's the sweetest sinner on this list, pun intended. But to balance this sugar high, we need someone with serious restraint. Who in the park actually keeps their cool and doesn't go off the deep end? Time to high-five a ghost. Self-control. High-five ghost. Opposite Pops' sugar-fueled gluttony, we have high-five ghost exemplifying self-control. High-five ghost, or just fives, is Muscle Man's best friend and the resident phantom bro with a hand sticking out of his head. Compared to the larger-than-life personalities around him, Fives is low-key, logical, and steady.
I hope you remember our promise we made 4 years ago. I'm back in the States and would love to see you. If you're still single, let's meet at blank brick oven pizza blank on blank.
Fun fact, according to a scientist in the episode The Button, High-Five Ghost is the most logical out of the park workers. And with logic comes self-control. He's not impulsive or explosive. He usually hangs back, observes, and steps in when needed. Think about it. How often do we see High-Five Ghost pigging out, raging, or going overboard? Hardly ever. In the episode Lunch Break, even though Fives joins Muscle Man's scheme to chase down an elusive food truck for the best, he remains the more level-headed of the duo. When things go south and jobs are on the line, Fives isn't the one throwing a fit. Muscle Man is. High-Five Ghost shows remorse and tries to set things right. He's got that conscience tapping him on the shoulder, keeping his excesses in check.
I want to take a shower.
Once we got out, Fives dropped a dime to the guys at the station.
Thanks for that tip, little brother. Give me 5.
We do see HFG cut loose a little in episodes like Party Bus or Gut Model, where he cheers on Muscle Man's bizarre model career. But even then, he's supportive and calm. In Gut Model, High-Five Ghost patiently encourages Muscle Man's brief venture into male modeling. Don't ask. And when Muscle Man's ego or lust for fame spikes, Fives is the grounding influence.
Muscle Man! Calm down! You're ruining everything!
One of High-Five Ghost's shining moments of temperance is in See You There. In this episode, we learn Fives has been quietly longing to reconnect with a girl ghost named Celia. Does he stalk her or obsess uncontrollably? No, he thoughtfully keeps a postcard from her, staying hopeful but not desperate. When he finally pursues her with Muscle Man's encouragement, he's nervous but respectful and overcomes each obstacle with calm determination.
Can I get a half-calf Americano?
Good choice. That's my favorite.
Celia! I didn't
thought
know
you
where
weren't
were.
coming.
I wasn't sure what to do, and I just wound up here.
Me too.
And if Pops is gluttony by virtue of having zero self-restraint with sweets, High-Five Ghost is self-control by virtue of having zero interest in going overboard. He'll give you a supportive high five when you manage to control yourself. He's essentially the group's quietly stabilizing force. Even when things get paranormal and nuts, which is every other day at the park, Fives rarely freaks out. He's too level-headed for freakouts. That's temperance, baby. But speaking of breaking things, let's talk about someone whose patience is always on the verge of exploding. Wrath Benson. Get back to work! If you just heard that in Benson's voice, you know why he's the wrath of the park. Benson Dunwoody, our favorite gumball machine manager, has anger issues bigger than his glass dome head. He is constantly on the verge of blowing a gasket. Or rather, blowing his gumballs. When Mordecai and Rigby slack off, which is 99% of the time, Benson's rage meter goes through the roof. Red face, bulging eyes, veins popping. The whole cartoon anger package. The man could win Olympic gold in yelling.
You two morons had better get this mess cleaned up, or you'll wish it was you driving that car!
The unicorn one?
Cold! And you, quit spraying that cologne. It's not gonna get you any ladies. Idiots.
Let's not mince words. Benson's temper is legendary. In Think Positive, Pops actually forces Benson to go a day without yelling. What follows is Benson's comical descent into near madness as he bottles up every angry impulse. He tries meditation tapes, stress balls, even yelling into a pillow. By the end of the day, he's trembling, eyes twitching, trying so hard not to explode at Mordecai and Rigby's latest screw-up. And when the clock strikes midnight, freeing him from the promise, he unleashes the most epic scream, scaring birds out of trees and probably shattering windows. So much for anger management. Hey, at least he tried. Benson's wrath isn't just random, it has roots. We get a glimpse of his backstory. As a kid, his dad told him he'd get nothing in life unless he yelled for it. Imagine growing up being taught shouting gets you what you want. That trauma brewed a short fuse in Benson. Add to that the fact he's a responsible guy managing a bunch of man-children who cause chaos on the daily, and you have a perfect recipe for wrath. I mean, how calm would you stay if your employees summoned monsters, destroyed property, or almost ended the world every week? Benson is wound up tight. He demands order in a fundamentally disorderly world, and it frustrates the heck out of him. In the episode Busted Cart, Mordecai and Rigby crash his beloved golf cart and lie about it. When Benson finds out, he goes nuclear. Veins bulging, he literally turns red as a beet and screams them into terror.
You were in there for hours! Now we're never gonna make it to the dealership in time! It closes in 30 minutes!
We're sorry!
In Prank Callers, Mordecai and Rigby tie up the house phone line with prank calls. Benson physically rips the phone out of the wall and smashes it in fury. This dude's anger has property damage levels. Even minor things like misplacing his mixtape or someone eating a sandwich can make him fume.
Okay. Good luck making your prank calls now!
We've grown to love Benson's anger though, because beneath that wrath is a guy who cares deeply. His anger often comes from fear. Fear that the park will be destroyed, or that he'll lose his job, or that his friends will get hurt. He's like a stressed out dad whose love is disguised behind yelling. There's a touch of that at the end of Think Positive, where Benson, after venting, admits he actually appreciates the crew, in his own shouty way.
Hey, Mordecai and Rigby. Clean this mess up or you're fired.
But make no mistake, Benson embodies wrath. He's the living stress ball of regular show. If wrath had a face, it'd be a gumball machine turning red with smoke coming out the ears. And for every time we see Benson clench his fists and go off, we need someone with the angelic patience to put up with such outbursts. Enter Eileen, the saint to Benson's sinner. Patience. Eileen. If anyone in regular show deserves a halo for patience, it's Eileen Roberts. Eileen is the shy, bespectacled waitress and later scientist in training, who starts off as Margaret's friend and ends up as Rigby's girlfriend, eventually wife. Now, if you know Rigby, hyperactive, lazy, immature Rigby, you'll realize why Eileen's patience is practically superhuman. She liked Rigby long before he got his act together, and she waited him out with a smile. That's dedication. When Eileen first appears, Season 2's Brain Eraser and Do Me a Solid, she's crushing on Rigby hard. Rigby at that point barely notices her, except to remark she's not my type. Ouch. In Do Me a Solid, Mordecai asks Rigby to take Eileen on a double date as a favor. Rigby is terrible to her. He's bored. He's rude. He literally jumps out of a moving golf cart to escape hanging out with her. Any other person would write Rigby off then and there. But Eileen, she keeps her optimism. Over the seasons, Eileen gently works her way into Rigby's world as a friend. She doesn't nag or chase, she's just herself. A little nerdy, very kind, and always there. Slowly, Rigby starts enjoying her company.
Wow, it's gorgeous.
Rigby, look! Rigby, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There's a great meta commentary from Rigby's voice actor, William Salyers, who noted that no one else would have the patience for Rigby's nonsense except Eileen. She basically tamed the untamable. Eileen must have deeply hidden wells of humanity to put up with Rigby's antics and still love him. And she doesn't just tolerate him, she actively makes him better. In Season 7's Rigby's Graduation Day special, we learn Rigby went back to high school in secret to get his diploma, so he could be worthy of Eileen and join her in college. Would he have done that if Eileen hadn't patiently encouraged him to improve himself? Doubtful. Her patience directly led to Rigby's growth. She waited for him to mature, believing he could, and he did.
I like this feeling. You know, even if I might never be brilliant, I still want to get my diploma. For you and for me.
I respect that.
Eileen's patience extends beyond Rigby, too. She's a supportive friend to Margaret, listening to her boy troubles ad nauseum without complaint. She tolerates Muscle Man and High Five Ghost's gross bro humor when they all hang out. She even endures a night in a cramped portable toilet with CJ to rescue the guys in portable toilet. Imagine the smell. Still, Eileen powers through.
Oh, thanks, lady!
Any luck?
No, we're right here!
Still, not all emotions are loud. Some fester in silence, especially when you see someone else winning at life. Let's talk about envy. Envy. Mordecai, the jealous blue jay. You might be surprised to see Mordecai, usually the chill, sensible one, on the sin list. But even our cool blue jay has a dark green streak of envy running through those feathers. Mordecai's sin is envy, and boy does it flare up, especially when it comes to love and life goals. For a dude who seems laid back, Mordecai can get real bitter real quick when someone else has what he wants.
Are you sure it's only 20 minutes till your date?
Huh? What did you do with my battery?
It could be 20 minutes till your date, or maybe it's half an hour, or maybe you already missed it.
The most obvious source of Mordecai's envy? Romance. For multiple seasons, Mordecai pines for Margaret, we'll get to her in a minute, and later for CJ. Anytime he feels he's losing his chance or someone else might steal the girl, he flips to envy mode. Remember, yes, dude, yes. Mordecai mistakenly believes Margaret got engaged while away at college. What happens? He falls into a deep depression and envy eats him up. He can't stand thinking some other guy succeeded where he didn't. He rebounds out of jealousy, starting an online dating spree, how he meets CJ. But when it turns out Margaret wasn't engaged and comes back, Mordecai can't handle that she might still be available and he's now with CJ. So what does our boy do? He invites both Margaret and CJ to a movie on the same night, basically attempting to two-time because he can't stand the idea of losing either option. That disastrous double-booked date, depicted in Dumped at the Altar flashbacks, is pure envy-fueled stupidity. Mordecai's jealousy literally creates a love triangle mess that blows up in his face. He loses both girls that night. Karma for envy, folks. In Crazy Fake Plan, when Margaret returns, Mordecai struggles seeing Margaret with potential new boyfriends. In Stake Me Amadeus, when Margaret decides to focus on her career, turning down his relationship proposal, Mordecai is heartbroken, and beneath that is envy of her bright future when he feels left behind.
Yo, you take Margaret to the airport?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
No.
He wants what she has, direction, success, as much as he wants her. Envy isn't always, I want your toy. Sometimes it's, I want your opportunity. Mordecai experiences that big time. It's not just love. Mordecai even grew envious of his best friend Rigby at one point. Plot twist. Early on, Mordecai was the responsible one and Rigby the screw-up. But in later seasons, Rigby improves himself. Remember, thanks to Eileen's patience. In Garage Door and Rigby's Graduation, Mordecai sees Rigby finishing high school and maturing, while he himself is stuck, having dropped out of art school and working the same park job. Mordecai begins to resent Rigby's growth. That's envy, plain and simple. Envy of Rigby's newfound ambition and progress. It actually strains their friendship for a bit. Mordecai gets moody and distant because he's jealous of the raccoon who used to be below him in responsibility, now surpassing him.
Hey, Margaret, briefs or boxes?
You're so funny, Rigby. Okay, gotta go talk to the manager. I'll be right back.
Mordecai's envy has real consequences. He hurts friends, sabotages relationships, and even stalls his own happiness because he's busy comparing himself to others. It's a very human flaw for our anthropomorphic blue jay. Now, to counteract that green-eyed monster, we need someone positively overflowing with compassion and kindness. Who could that be? How about the very person Mordecai was pining over? Kindness, Margaret. Margaret is easily the kindest character in regular show. She's basically the polar opposite of envy. While Mordecai stews in jealousy, Margaret exudes generosity of spirit, friendliness, and down-to-earth warmth. As the longtime coffee shop waitress and Mordecai's crush, Margaret has always been portrayed as caring and rarely ever mean. The show itself notes that Margaret is kind, caring, and rarely gets upset or angry. Unlike the drama magnets around her, Margaret is even-keeled. She's the type who'll remember your coffee order, ask how your day is, and actually listen to the answer. When Mordecai and Rigby visit the coffee shop, often just so Mordecai can see her, Margaret is patient and sweet with them. Even when they loiter or act awkward, she treats everyone with respect. Friends, customers, even weirdos like Muscle Man, who's definitely said some cringe "my mom" joke in front of her at some point. Margaret's go-to emotion is kindness. It takes a lot to push her to anger. Look at Butt Dial. Mordecai accidentally butt dials Margaret and leaves a voicemail singing about his feelings. Embarrassing. Does Margaret laugh at him or think he's a creep? No, she finds it cute and sets it as her ringtone because she appreciates the sentiment. That's a kind reaction to what could have been mortifying.
Come on!
No, actually, I'm gonna set it to be your personal ringtone.
You're kidding, right?
Nope, that way I can hear you singing every time you call me. So you better call me.
Okay.
In Yes Dude Yes, when she unexpectedly runs into Mordecai who's with CJ, Margaret feels a twinge of jealousy herself. She's human. But she handles it gracefully. No shouting, no drama. In fact, later when the whole CJ-Margaret mix-up resolves, Margaret steps aside kindly, not wanting to hurt CJ or Mordecai. She wishes them well. That's mature kindness right there. Margaret is also an amazing friend, especially to Eileen. She encourages Eileen's crush on Rigby when Rigby didn't deserve it yet, because she genuinely wants her friend to be happy. The two girls have a strong bond, largely because Margaret is so trustworthy and kind-hearted. In Diary, when Mordecai and Rigby try to read Margaret's diary, Eileen defends Margaret's privacy fiercely, showing how Margaret's kindness earns her loyal friends. Honestly, it's easier to count the few times Margaret did get angry because they're rare. Margaret's kindness also shows in how normal she is amid the crazies. She offers the guys coffee and food. She volunteers to help with tasks. In Picking Up Margaret, she's moving to a new apartment and she's politely appreciative of Mordecai and Rigby helping out, even when they nearly drop her couch on her foot. She's basically the person who'd help a grandma cross the street or rescue a cat from a tree while others are busy causing magical mischief. If the park had a volunteer day, Margaret would be running it. We're done with the lovey-dovey stuff, let's spice things up. Time for some sin that's a little more provocative. Lust, Muscle Man. You know who loves to indulge every bodily urge and make everyone uncomfortable? Muscle Man. Yes, our favorite green, shirtless, junk food chugging, wife-beater wearing goofball. Mitch Muscle Man Sorenstein is the living embodiment of lust, in the broad 7 deadly sins sense of excessive bodily desire and indulgence. If it's indecent, gross, or driven by base urges, Muscle Man is all about it. Muscle Man is the guy who greets people by jiggling his man boobs and yelling, "Woo!" He tells constant "my mom" jokes, which are often bizarrely sexual or at least wildly inappropriate.
Well, sounds like someone needs some supervision. You know who else needs supervision? My mom!
The first time we meet him, he's pranking Mordecai and Rigby and then cracking crude jokes like it's a frat house. He's basically a perpetual bachelor party on legs, even after he has a girlfriend. Lust isn't just about physical desire, it's about being led by passion and indulgence. And Muscle Man follows those wherever they lead. Decency be damned. Let's talk about Muscle Man's love life. He's in a passionate, if absurdly gross, relationship with Starla, who is equally wild. These two are constantly all over each other. In The Longest Weekend, Muscle Man and Starla try to prove their love isn't codependent by spending a weekend apart, and they fail spectacularly. Muscle Man devolves into a sobbing, ice cream devouring wreck within hours, then goes full Romeo mode, sprinting shirtless to reunite with Starla because he can't handle not being with or on his woman.
Really? You love me that much?
Wholly and truly. And because of that, I won't let you go without one last taste of your most favorite food.
They make out aggressively in public pretty much any time they're on screen together, like in Fancy Restaurant, Double Date Night, where they cause a scene with their excessive PDA. Mordecai and CJ are sitting across from them like, do we really need to watch this makeout marathon during dinner? Lusty and musty is the vibe. Muscle Man's lust extends to general hedonism. Food? He deep fries chicken wings in a vat of lard and guzzles them down. He and Fives once skipped work to chase the temptations of a food truck. Lunch break. Booze. Well, it's a kids show, so soda. But we all know a six-pack soda binge is a stand-in for a beer binge. And Muscle Man is always up for it. Soda, 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 soda. Remember the episode Prankless? Muscle Man goes insane without pranking and starts stark naked on the hood of Mordecai and Rigby's car to get his mojo back. Yup, we got a full green moon in that one. Or Trash Boat. At one point he's shirtless, eating a sandwich seductively on a car. Why? Who knows, it's Muscle Man. The guy just has no shame. If he feels it, he does it. If it pops in his head and might be gross funny, he's already doing it. One might say he's a slave to his impulses.
Oh, that's right, ladies! We got 2 tickets to Fist Pump! See you later, grandmas!
Now, how do we counter such a sinful ball of urges with the purest, most innocent soul in the entire show? Purity Pops. If anyone in regular show has a claim to purity, it's Pops. Yes, the same Pops I tagged for gluttony because surface level he loves candy is actually, in essence, the purest character in the series. Pops is a peculiar combo of childlike innocence, kindness, and moral goodness that remains untainted from episode 1 all the way to the finale. When I say purity, we mean not just in the romantic or lustful sense, but in soul. Pops has a pure heart, free of malice, lust, or dark desire. The man doesn't have a mean bone in his lollipop-shaped body. Pops approaches everything with wide-eyed wonder and propriety. He addresses everyone as good show chap and jolly good show. Who else does that? He's like a kid from a 1920s boarding school, trapped in a candy person's body. His idea of a wild time is reading poetry to his friends or watching a harmless sitcom like Carter and Briggs. In episodes like Access Denied, Pops is completely oblivious to internet indecency. He just wants to see funny cat videos, not, well, the stuff Muscle Man would probably Google at 2 a.m. Pops carries around a joyful naivete. Example: in Prank Callers, Mordecai and Rigby literally time travel by prank, calling the past, and Pops goes along thinking it's all a fun game. No ulterior motives, just giggles and amusement.
Ooh, telephone! Hello?
Pops, you gotta help us! We're stuck in the 80s!
Who are you talking to? Why, it's Mordecai and Rigby. They're stuck in the 1980s.
Oh, really?
When it comes to lust, Pops is as far from it as possible. He has zero romantic or sexual storylines. Have you ever seen Pops flirt or express desire beyond platonic love? Nope. In fact, in one episode, Pam I Am, a woman shows interest in Pops and he's just politely confused. He treats her with kindness and gentlemanly respect, but the thought of lusting after her likely never crosses his mind. It's like he's too pure to even understand the concept. Pops probably thinks babies are delivered by storks, and making out is a type of handshake. Pops is so pure that when the group watches an R-rated movie, he'd probably be the one asking innocent questions like, "Why are they wrestling without clothes, Mordecai?" Mordecai: they're European, Pops. Meanwhile, Muscle Man is in the back, making obscene gestures. See the contrast? From desire overload to innocent confusion, let's move from lazy indulgence to people who actually get stuff done. Sloth, Rigby. Rigby. Where do we start? If Benson is anger incarnate, Rigby is sloth personified. This raccoon would rather die, literally, than do a hard day's work. And sometimes he nearly does. Sloth isn't just laziness, it's laziness that leads to all sorts of trouble, which describes Rigby's life to a T. In the very first episode, Mordecai and Rigby have one job: set up some chairs for a party. Simple, right? Not for Rigby.
One! Yeah, dude, this sucks.
He immediately bails on work to play around, which leads to them accidentally summoning a demon destroyer of worlds via a magical keyboard. Yep, because Rigby couldn't be bothered to do the chairs diligently, the park almost gets annihilated by a chair monster. Sloth, ladies and gentlemen. How about Rigby's body? Rigby is so lazy he refuses to eat anything but junk food. No vegetables, no healthy stuff, only chocolate cake and garbage. His poor body literally can't take it and quits on him. His consciousness separates from his body.
I thought if I ate really fast, maybe I wouldn't notice.
I just really wanted that hat. Did I win it?
Mordecai has to coax his physical body back into healthy habits. Rigby's slothful lifestyle literally caused his body to go on strike. It's a hilarious metaphor. You slack off on self-care, your body says I'm out. In laundry woes, Mordecai needs help impressing Margaret at the laundromat. Rigby's supposed to simply do the laundry. Instead, he destroys all of Mordecai's clothes. Lazy plus inept. In house rules, Benson kicks Rigby out of the house because Rigby is such a slob who won't follow any rules or clean up. Rigby ends up living in the woods rather than just washing a dish or two. That's commitment to laziness.
Yeah, man. No rules of gravity.
Dude, in Benson's face! Living without rules is awesome!
Yeah, it is.
Rigby constantly looks for shortcuts to avoid work. If there's a magic item or wish-granting device, he'll use it to try to do his tasks for him. Example, Power Tower. He and Mordecai use a wish to avoid a workout. Or Skip's Stress, where he'd rather concoct a crazy plan than do yard work. Rigby's sloth often pairs with greed or pride, but at its core is the refusal to put in effort. If assigned to rake leaves, Rigby will either A. pretend to rake while napping in a pile, B. convince Mordecai to do it for him, or C. literally run away. We've seen all three.
I know it's Benson. That's how it works around here. I don't do my work and he doesn't do a thing about it. It's a win-win.
He even slacks as a friend sometimes. Early on, Rigby doesn't put effort into being considerate. In Do Me a Solid, he nearly ruins Mordecai's date with Margaret because he's too lazy to endure a few hours of hanging with Eileen without complaining. His motto might as well be, why bother? Need concert tickets? Rigby tries to scam his way. See, caffeinated concert tickets where he prints fakes. Need to study? Ha! Rigby would rather fake being smart. Brain Eraser, where he tries to cheat to seem cool to Margaret and ends up seeing Pops naked. Long story. Even getting a job, he only has the park gig because Mordecai helped him. Rigby would probably sleep in a dumpster if it meant avoiding a 9-to-5. We love Rigby, flaws and all, but let's face it, he's a lazy little trash panda. He takes like 4-hour video game breaks during work. He once fell asleep inside a video game, Arcade Anonymous. He wrote a whole song about not wanting to get out of bed. Okay, I made that up, but it'd fit. If sloth is a deadly sin, Rigby's done enough slacking to be on the most wanted list of sloth.
I can't get up now. I'm gonna lose the sweet butt cheek groove I've been working into this couch. It looks just like me.
Now, in fairness, Rigby grows over the series. By season 6 to 7, he starts bettering himself. Surprising, I know. The turning point is his love for Eileen. He realizes to keep an amazing girl like her, he's got to step up. In Rigby Goes to the Prom and Graduation Day, he secretly finishes high school. That is huge for him. He actually works hard studying. Shock! Mordecai even gets jealous of this new diligent Rigby. So by the end, Rigby overcomes a lot of his sloth. But in the era we all remember, seasons 1 through 4, Rigby is the king of lazy. His idea of work is working on avoiding work. Rigby's slothfulness causes many of the show's conflicts, but also many of its laughs. We all have a bit of Rigby's, ugh, do I have to, inside us, especially on Monday mornings. But he takes it to cartoon extremes, from sleeping till noon, to ditching work for arcade games, to letting chores pile up until they spawn a monster. Wouldn't surprise me. Rigby shows the perils of sloth. Good thing he has patient friends and a very loud boss to keep him in line. Somewhat. Who can counterbalance a slacker like Rigby? How about the one guy at the park who was quietly always working, even when no one noticed? Diligence. Thomas. Remember Thomas? The GOAT intern who spent 2 seasons mostly in the background, fetching coffee, taking notes, and doing whatever Benson asked without complaint. Turns out he was doing a lot more than anyone realized. We're giving Thomas the virtue of diligence, constant, careful effort, because this dude was pulling double duty to the max. On the surface, Thomas is a model intern. He shows up in the season 4 premiere, Exit 9B, as the new guy. While Mordecai and Rigby are goofing off or fighting villains, Thomas is actually working. Need someone to cover the ticket booth or actually do park paperwork? Thomas time. He's polite, unassuming, and seemingly always available to run errands.
Hey guys, got the coffee. Wait, what are all you doing behind the house? You don't have any more surprises on my last day, do you?
Benson loves this kid because compared to you-know-who, Thomas is a dang workhorse. Work goat? He's the one raking leaves, painting fences, making copies, the boring stuff that never gets screen time because Mordecai and Rigby sure aren't doing it. If there's a scene where the whole gang is chilling, Thomas is likely off cleaning the cart or sorting Benson's files. But Thomas isn't just some eager beaver intern, he's actually Nikolai, a deep-cover Russian spy. In a wild twist revealed in The Real Thomas, Season 6, we learn Thomas infiltrated the park as a sleeper agent, gathering intel for Mother Russia. Now consider this. Thomas maintained a perfect hard-working intern act for 2 whole seasons while secretly reporting to evil spies, and while genuinely becoming friends with the park crew. That takes incredible diligence and discipline. He balanced 2 lives, lied flawlessly, and never slacked for a moment, or his cover would be blown. Imagine being on a crazy mission at night, then coming into work at 8 a.m. to alphabetize park records. That's Thomas's life. He's doing intense spy stuff behind the scenes. We're talking dodging assassins, covert phone calls in the restroom, and yet he always finishes the intern task by morning. In The Real Thomas, when Rigby gets suspicious, we see Thomas in action. He's been meticulously planning an infiltration of the park's database, and simultaneously planning a betrayal of his spy superiors because he's grown to care for his friends. The guy is spinning more plates than a circus performer and never dropping one.
Oh, hello, Mom. Oh, yeah, everything's great.
What's he saying?
No, exactly. Yep.
Even without the spy angle, Thomas's work ethic was on point. He rarely, if ever, complains, even when given the most menial jobs. There's a bit in Paint Job where the gang repaints a house. Who's up on the ladder actually painting diligently? Thomas. In Lift with Your Back, a bunch of heavy lifting. Who's carrying the heaviest stuff? Thomas and Skips, of course. Meanwhile, Muscle Man and Fives are probably sneaking sodas, and Rigby's napping in the moving truck. Thomas quietly picks up everyone's slack. What cements Thomas as diligence incarnate is that, in the end, he chooses his friends over his mission. He double-crosses the Russian boss, saving the park gang from harm. That means he diligently maintained 3 personas at the climax: lovable intern, Russian spy, and secret triple agent. And even after burning his spy bridges, Thomas doesn't slack. He vanishes to continue a life undercover. You get the sense Thomas is always working towards some goal. He's not one to just sit around. Maybe it's his upbringing or goat instincts, but he must stay busy.
No problem. And thanks to you all for showing me that friends matter more than the silly KGB job.
You know, the offer still stands. We'd love to have you work at the park.
We have reached our final face-off. The deadliest sin of all, pride, versus the most humbling virtue, humility. Pride. Garrett Bobby Ferguson. Garrett Bobby Ferguson, aka GBF, aka that giant floating bearded head from Regular Show who literally exploded from pride. If you remember this guy, you know he had to make the list. Pride is an excessive belief in one's own abilities, and GBF embodies that to the extreme. He's a notorious video game champion, holder of the high score on an arcade game called Broken Bones, and he will rub it in your face all day long. In High Score, Mordecai and Rigby attempt to beat the world record on an old arcade game. Who shows up to stop them? GBF, a massive floating head with tiny limbs, based on a certain real-life record holder, by the way. From the moment he appears, GBF oozes arrogance. He insults our heroes, calling them chumps, and brags, "No one can ever beat me, I'm the best in the universe." His head is literally swollen with pride. It's comically huge. The guy cannot fathom anyone surpassing him.
Thank you for being so dumb. What? I didn't devote my life to this cruddy game. It's just a hobby.
But what about your wife?
Never had one.
That's pride with a capital P. And what does pride often lead to? A fall. Sure enough, when Mordecai and Rigby actually surpass his high score, GBF loses it. This sore loser tries to cheat by unplugging the game. When that fails, he throws a cosmic tantrum. The universe, or arcade gods, aren't having it. And GBF freaking explodes in rage on the spot. Talk about literally bursting with pride. His ego was so inflated that when reality punctured it, he went kaboom. Moral of the story: pride goeth before a face-splitting explosion. GBF's pride is so notorious that it lives on even after him. In Season 8's Exit 9B, the villains of past episodes are resurrected, including GBF's son, GBF Jr. Jr. is out for revenge, proudly carrying his father's legacy of being a giant pompous head. It's generational pride. They really hold a grudge. Prideful folk can't stand losing. The park gang defeats GBF Jr. too, of course, giving the Ferguson family yet another humbling smackdown. What makes GBF's pride stand out more is contrasting with Mordecai and Rigby. They're no saints, but they just wanted to win for fun and a bit of glory. GBF wanted eternal glory and couldn't accept anyone else succeeding. In Regular Show, most characters have some redeeming quality or learn a lesson. Not GBF. He's one of the few who just gets what's coming to him. His utter lack of humility is his doom. Now, how do we counter that level of ego? With a character who's literally seen it all and reminds us we ain't all that. Humility, Death. Yes, the Grim Reaper himself is my pick for humility. Sounds odd, right? You'd think Death is scary or prideful. He's literally the end of life, could have a big head about it. But regular show's Death is, for the most part, a pretty humble, down-to-earth dude. Well, down to Underworld, perhaps. When Death first appears in Over the Top, Skips accidentally kills Rigby. Long story involving an arm wrestling mishap. Death arrives on a motorcycle, all dramatic, ready to claim Rigby's soul. You expect a cocky, all-powerful villain. Instead, we meet a sort of blue-collar Grim Reaper. He talks in a gruff but normal voice, makes casual conversation, and even agrees to Skips' challenge of an arm wrestling rematch to save Rigby. That alone shows some humility. Death could have said, "Nah, I'm Death. I take who I want." But he honors Skips' plea for a second chance. They arm wrestle, Skips wins with an awesome soul-powered move, and Death, true to his word, brings Rigby back. No tricks, no revenge. Death actually admits defeat. That's rare for a supernatural being. Death even teams up with the heroes in the finale battle. In a regular epic final battle, Death fights against the big villain, Antipop's ally, named Streaming. What makes Death humble is his no-nonsense, no-ego attitude. He could monologue about being eternal or make people grovel. He doesn't. He's almost like a tired civil servant. He's seen it all, so he's got nothing to prove. In a way, Death has the ultimate perspective. All things must end, including prideful gamers and lazy raccoons. Maybe that cosmic perspective makes him chill. Why boast or rage? It all comes out equal in the end. Death embodies humility by not thinking of himself as above the natural order or above others. He interacts with our heroes almost like an equal, ironically more so than some living characters do. But that's it for this one. Now go watch Most Loved versus Most Hated regular show characters before Mordecai starts simping again. I'm waiting.